Welcome back to Second Breakfast and our ongoing Summerween series, celebrating hot weather and horror movies by bringing you the best thoughts, theories, and literary analysis this side of the Carmichael Manor?
Manor. It's a manor.
I lost it right at the end.
You panicked at the end.
Because sometimes they just call it the Carmichael.
Right. Yeah, manor. Anyway,
right.
In this episode, we'll be talking about all 4 House LLC sequels. So we'll be going through each movie one by one and sort of talking about our impressions of them. But also in the larger discussion, we'll be talking about how each of them advance and complicate our ongoing Faust theory and discussion about the franchise as a whole. So let's get into it.
All right, so this is the grand finale of our Hell House discussions. A couple weeks ago, at the beginning of this year's Summerween, we did a 2-part discussion of the first Hell House LLC, one of the very best horror movies ever made. And then earlier this very week, we talked about the brand new Hell House LLC Lineage, which is the 5th and supposedly final movie in the franchise. We went deep on that film, and particularly the massive tidal wave of backlash that the movie's gotten online, and why we think it is so completely without merit.
Yeah, we wanted to do that in a separate episode because there was so much to talk about. We'll still talk about Lineage in this episode, but it needed its own separate discussion. So go check that out if you're interested.
So this is more of a broader, kind of wider lens sort of discussion where we're going to talk about all 4 Hell House LLC sequels. So let's see if we can get the names. 2 is called the Abaddon Hotel. 3 is called Lake of Fire. 4 is called Origins, the Carmichael Manor.
Yes.
And that's the punctuation, not anyone in particular is colon. And then 5 is called Lineage.
Right, yes.
So we're going to talk about these 4 movies in their role as sequels, what they bring to the table, how they advance the mythology, and particularly how they complicate the Faust grappling and metaphor that has been at the heart of this franchise since the very first one. And Maggie, again, that discussion that she did was unbelievable for that Faust fable discussion.
You're very kind.
So let's start with number 2. Okay. And we're going to start with some impressions, and then I've got notes for every single one of these. But just to throw it to you, what'd you think of the Abaddon Hotel? Because we'd never seen any of these sequels before this last week. We watched one a night until 5 came out.
It was a whole week of Hell House. It was great.
We had tickets, yeah.
Because we had bought tickets for Lineage like weeks ago. We're like, okay, we'll watch the sequels in between there. And then like a week out, we were like, oh shit, we haven't watched any of the sequels, so we had to watch them all. And I was actually a little nervous going in because all we had heard was that the sequels kind of sucked. And so I was prepared for like very bad horror franchise sequel, like won't be anything like the first one, will, provide just interesting lore, might have some fun scares, but won't be good at all. And that was so incorrect. This one was great. And I mean, spoiler, all of them are great. I really, really like this franchise. I mean, nothing, I think I said this in our Lineage episode, nothing can top the first one. It's got a special magic, a special sauce, and like those 5 characters are so, so good. It's so hard to replicate that. But
that's true of every horror franchise.
Well, right. And none of the sequels are trying to replicate or redo the first one.
That's a good point.
They are doing new things. They are building upon the established lore. They're building from the structure, the foundation, whatever metaphor you want to use, that was created through the first one, and they just add and enrich. And I think it was so, so great. So I liked this one a lot. We got to, continue the found footage thing. We got to learn a bit more about the history of the Abaddon and how Alex came to inherit or to purchase the Abaddon. Like, it was all really, really fun. I really enjoyed it.
This entire movie is a victory lap for you because your whole theory, without having seen the sequels in our first discussion, was, hey, I think this is a Faust thing.
And I will say, and I said this in that episode, I did do a little bit of YouTube sleuthing to learn a bit, just because I didn't want to have this great theory.
Never mind. Compliment revoked.
No, stop, because it makes sense. Only for it to be completely wrong and or completely answered fully in the later sequels. And it is not. I mean, I didn't do full deep dive summaries of all the movies because a lot of this was still surprises to me. But I just was like, okay, is there a clear, like... And especially because like the deal with the devil thing was part of my analysis, but the other half was, what did Alex tell Mac to make him go along with this? And that's all me. Okay, that is not discussed in the rest of these sequels. That's all my own theory.
I guess we'll have to take your word for it.
I'm just saying, I knew he had met Andrew Tully. I knew that when I gave that theory, and I think I shared that without spoiling it for you. But still, a lot of this stuff I did not know, so don't come for me.
So you're not a cheater and a liar.
I'm not a cheater,
allegedly.
But I also am not a fully original thinker. But who among us is? I just wanted to preface that.
But no, I felt so happy for you when this movie devolves in a good way into a basement Faust reenactment
100%.
of Andrew Tully and the deal with the devil and the killing. And I was so happy for you. Also, that's very much my shit.
Yes.
But I think I had the same reaction as you, where I was worried going into this. But this movie is so much better than it needed to be.
Yeah.
I thought the hook was great. Thought the characters were great. The exploration of Hell House, and particularly the aftermath of the blowout ending of the first one, I thought was great. Despite, and this is kind of the dangerous part, we're reusing a setting that we've already been introduced to and scared shitless by.
Right.
And horror always has diminishing returns when you return to a franchise like that.
Of course.
Or when you return to a setting. But also, we reuse the final twist here.
It's true, yes.
Of,
been dead
this
the whole
person
time.
was, not who they thought they were or dead the whole time.
Yeah.
And I think it worked again somehow.
I agree.
Some downsides, some upsides here. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. All horror is sort of a mixed bag. The downside is, I think, the more than any other movie in the franchise, the acting is hit and miss here.
Yes, it is better in the other movies. Some are better than others. I will say my favorite character, my favorite performance was the medium guy who we called Gilderoy Lockhart.
Fantastic.
I'm like so bummed that, spoilers, that he died, because I thought he was so great and I really enjoyed him and I wanted to see more of him on screen. But I thought he was fantastic. He was really delighting in his performance. It was good.
And the uneven acting, it throws you a little bit at the beginning. I think the immersion's broken a little, but then you're
like,
oh,
this is like a cheap sequel. But like you get over it,
and then they all die, and it's fine. But
you're like, okay, I won't be mad when they die. I'll be fine.
the upsides far outshine the downsides
Absolutely.
for this film. I think the TV framing device, even after their deaths, of having
that.
I mean, it genuinely, going back to Frankenstein, any other sort of famous horror framing devices, I really loved every time it cut back to the morning news thing and finding out that Andrew Tully was the old guy.
I agree. I liked
Mitchell.
that. It felt like an evolution of the mockumentary style of the first one,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like, because we kind of hit on this in our Lineage discussion, but doing the same mockumentary, 4 times in a row is going to get old. And so you have to reinvent a little bit. You have to evolve it or change it up to make it feel interesting for the audience, but also believable that this kind of thing would be made in this imagined world. So them doing the news segment as sort of like a next step beyond just the mockumentary about some weird tragic event, it felt like it made the whole thing feel more lived in. It felt like what would actually happen in something like this. I liked the news segment a lot.
Yeah, I think it kind of worked in triplicate as an evolution and meditation on the ending of the first movie, where you see Sarah and then you realize the Sarah you're seeing is very much dead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the 3 people on this panel, one of them turns out to be Andrew Tully. So you're finding out it's not this innocent, kind of condescending, shitty lawyer. Mm-hmm. It's actually the devil, basically.
Yeah, we both clocked that, by the way, before it was revealed.
Yes,
we're very proud of ourselves.
We're experts.
I got it first, but it's fine.
You said it first. I think that works as a reveal, because then when you go back to him, it's more freaky. If you rewatch this movie, I imagine it's unsettling.
Yeah, sure.
Also, the medium, after he dies, once you then go back to the framing device and see him alive, it's so dissonant and uncomfortable. I think that's incredibly effective.
Yeah.
And even Mitchell, as you see him in more and more distress and eventually go to the dark side here, spoiler for the 5th one, I guess.
Yeah.
I think seeing him calm and collected and passionate in the framing device becomes more painful. So the transformations of all 3 characters on the panel, I think that's a really effective evolution of the twist ending that the first movie had.
I also think that it was a smart move to have that one character who carries us from movies 1 to 2, because of course your main cast in the first movie all die, but it's hard to introduce a sequel and then to have it be all brand new characters. That's hard for an audience to wrap around, right? That's always going to be difficult.
It's hard for me. I hate that.
And it's not like Mitchell was a prime character in the first one. He played a very small role, but I thought him moving from being sort of our through line, our continuous thread. I thought that was a really smart move as well. And each of the sequels do that in turn. There's always some character who was in the last one who carries you into the next one, as far as I can remember.
Yes, and I think the formula still works here. It's different but familiar. It's that kind of Goldilocks thing that is so hard to execute well. Paul was so funny and fun in the first one.
Yeah.
Those kind of confessional moments where you see the girl sitting in the corner in the background.
God.
He brought such levity and humanity to the film instead of the kind of fantastic drama between people like Alex and Mac.
Yeah.
I thought Paul brought a little bit of warmth to the collective. I loved that the medium really pushed that humor forward here. He was so goofy and silly, and even as he was dying, you felt bad, but mostly you felt bad because you wanted to keep watching him be silly.
right.
So I thought he was a perfectly tuned addition here.
Absolutely.
And to linger on the setting a little bit, I thought the hotel was absolutely terrifying here.
Oh, yeah.
This idea of diminishing returns in horror. The second time you see Michael Myers, the second time you see the shark in Jaws, whatever it is, it's not going to be as scary to you. I don't think the clowns were any less terrifying here than they were in the first one.
They are the same level of horrifying throughout the whole series. That is so impressive to me. And even outside of the clowns, the hotel itself, like, I think the scariest moment for me in this one, in 2, was early in the film when they're showing like clips from, people who have gone into the house before this whole news crew goes in again. It's the kid who's like Facebook live streaming, and he goes in and he like walks in, and then he just kind of stands there on the stairs, and it apparently live streams all night long until his phone dies. That's the scariest thing I've ever seen. It's just like a guy who's like half out of frame standing in a stairwell, but it's the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen.
The vignettes were incredibly effective, as were the clowns. Or every time you move the camera away and you move back and the mannequin's head has turned.
Yeah.
That's literally just pivoting a mannequin's head. And it's the scariest shit you've ever imagined.
Yeah.
The pianos coming back were incredible here.
Yeah.
I can't believe, I mean, you talk about that with like box office returns when you see, the second week drop off was really low. That means the movie has legs. What a rare unicorn of a film.
Yeah, right.
There was like no drop off in how scary the villain was here. And that is almost unheard of in the world of horror. I can't believe how blood-curdling these fucking clowns still are. And I don't have a clown thing. I know that this year of Summerween has turned into scary clowns and crime and found footage thing. Clowns don't bother me. I can look at Pennywise all day.
Sure.
This fucking clown,
man. I hate looking at it. I hate it. I hate it. I mean, a lot of these simple tricks that the first movie does are done here again, or at least that simplicity is maintained here in the second one, and that's why it's so good. Like, there's nothing fancy or fluffy, there are no crazy effects. It's just like you look one way and then all of a sudden you look back and it's different, or something is just a little bit unsettling or uncanny and it just horrifies you. Yeah, I thought this was a great sequel.
Yeah, and I feel like we jumped almost from Saw 1, if you talk about the perfect kind of standalone revolutionary horror movie that is a stone cold classic.
Yeah.
We jumped from Saw 1 to Saw like 6.
Yeah.
Or 4 or 5, where you're deep in the lore. And there is kind of a melodrama element with how many characters and weaving and timelines and all that. I love that we went straight into that.
Right.
We didn't have the kind of awkward adolescent stumbling of Saw 2. We jumped right into Saw 3, which is really deep in the lore.
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved that. I loved how quick that jump was, but also how game the original cast was.
Yeah.
That you brought back the characters for like silent cameos.
Yeah,
People who
real quick.
were leads in the previous film. Having them in the basement at the end sold this movie so much for me.
Yeah.
Seeing them again just in a little bit. I think you said the Sarah actor looked a little different.
I think that was a different actress, but the original Sarah actress does come back for other flashbacks in future films. But I could tell, I was like, that's not Sarah, that's somebody else. But apart from that, it was, I think, mostly original cast that we saw. That was cool.
Because you really have this finale in the basement that is a long form Faust scene.
Yeah.
You have Tully coming out and he's the mustache twirling Mephistopheles.
Yeah.
You're finding out that he was the guy from the TV panel. But also, you get the full offer. You get the contract. You get deciding who lives and dies, and you get going over to the dark side and the demons and the cult. You don't see him dragged down to hell, but you see everything but the finale of Faustus. And I thought that was so sold by having the returning characters from the first movie.
Yes.
We're doubling down on the Faustus thing, and I'll throw it to you here because you did so well with the first one, but I love that we were going further with it. We weren't just jingling the keys, remembering, oh, there's still a Faustus kind of framework hanging over this franchise. We were pushing further with it.
Yeah.
In the same way you were trying to read between the lines to see the contract Alex signed. Now we get that again with Mitchell, but it's so much more brutal. And it makes... We don't see him actually make the decision. We find that out later in the 5th movie.
Right.
But I think it hits the same twang of regret and misery, and it's a hopeless situation.
And impossible choices, right? Like
survival instinct, human cowardice. And because it's the second time we're seeing it, it's not diminishing returns. It makes Tully scarier. But this is the thing I've always talked about with the Faustus framework. Mephistopheles is not a rookie. Faustus is not the first soul he's acquired.
I see.
So us seeing Tully do this a second time, which is probably his millionth time doing it, that makes him even more larger than life. That makes him even more crafty and wily and intimidating.
Totally. Yeah. It was fun to see that evolution and to still not get a full like breakdown explanation of what exactly the deal was that Alex took. We still don't know quite why it happened or what his sort of benefit would be, but it was cool to get confirmation that he did make some kind of deal and that he wasn't just being an asshole to his friends, but it was more complicated. And you see sort of the anguish in Mitchell as like I'm sure that was the same kind of thing that Alex was dealing with too when Mitchell was presented with, taking some kind of deal or bargain. So yeah, I thought that was a great evolution of that.
But I don't think this stuff works as well when you do explicitly show it.
No, you're so right. Yeah. It's like if you break down line by line what the contract is, it kind of ruins the mystique of the whole thing.
But even showing hell, showing any of these locations or I don't know. It's so
realms.
Mythical. It's the same reason. It's the same reason I don't think we've had like Dante's Inferno or Paradise Lost. You have like the Gustave Doré sketches of
etchings. Etchings. Yeah.
That was a little more snooty than it needed to be.
Well, because sketch made it sound so like flimsy, and it's not this like incredibly detailed, labor-intensive printmaking.
It's incredibly hard to depict a lot of this, to
Yes.
depict hell. And I think gesturing at it is always more effective for an audience than trying to show it, because you'll either come up short or it'll seem hokey, like the Bowser levels of when you go to the castle and it's a bunch of fire. Like
I see.
it doesn't really work when you show it.
No, it doesn't.
It works when you hint at it.
It has to stay mythical. Yeah.
This one hints at it.
Yes, like you get, I think in this one, and I think also in the first one, you get like, oh, there's a door open over there and there's red light coming out of it. And that's the closest you get to seeing the portal, to seeing hell. I think in Lake of Fire in the third one, we see the fire a bit more, and that it doesn't ruin it. That's dramatic. But we didn't need to see it.
It's a weak point.
We shouldn't have seen it. Yeah. So this movie balances all that really
Let's
well.
move on to 3. I think that's a perfect way to do it. So this is Hell House 3, Lake of Fire. And you're right. That is maybe the one big misstep of this film for me. And I get budget restraint. That's fine.
Sure.
I'm not asking for you need more money to depict this. No. I'm saying don't depict it.
You can say know your limits. Like know what you can and can't do with the budget and resources you have. If you can't do an amazing like explosion, fire...
And you can't unless you're Doré doing, as Maggie said, sketches of hell.
Shut the fuck up.
So I think that's like a 2-second misstep, but it does not overshadow the rest of what is a fantastic film.
No, it's really, really good.
So this one has a different sort of conceit. Do you want to walk that out a little bit?
Yeah, so it's this, instead of it being a haunted house, a new crew has purchased the Abaddon, and they're turning it into an interactive theatrical experience. So it's not a haunted house, but rather it's this ongoing performance where you walk through and you basically see these actors putting on a show of Faust, the play, which was very fun to see. And the audience gets to sort of walk through the house and see it play out. And they can stand where they want to stand. And it's very like choose your own adventure kind of thing. And of course, shit goes wrong. They bring in, this is where we meet Vanessa, who is our star of the 5th movie, Lineage, which we'll get into. She is like the new host of Morning Mysteries. And her task is to document the planning and opening of Insomnia to sort of catch what else is going on in the Abaddon because shit's still going on there. So that's kind of the conceit. And I loved this because I loved the Faust kind of confirmation, or at least like
tripling down.
They know what we're thinking about, so they're like, let's lean in. And I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
And Sorry. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I thought you were.
No,
I
I thought that the conceit of it was great, and I thought that Vanessa was a really exciting character to follow. And like we kind of hinted at in our Lineage discussion, the evolution of the documentary thing of like how can we continue to justify that all of this stuff is caught on film is not only that she is filming it with her crew, but she gives cameras to everybody else in the cast of Insomnia so that more stuff is captured, and so we sort of get to see more angles of things and more things happening to individual characters. It's easily explained why everybody's got a camera on them, and I liked that a lot.
Yeah, I thought this one was incredibly bold and risky. And you were just talking about the dangers of a horror sequel that has a wholly new cast. And this was almost completely a new cast.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think, is there, apart from Andrew Tully, is there a continuous character in here? Mitchell's not in this one.
It's more the framing of it, of there being a documentary crew.
Yeah.
And then there being these misguided entrepreneurs in this place that's going to kill them.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think some of the talking heads are still the same, like that guy with the mustache.
The guy with the cool beard.
I love that guy.
It's awesome.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, there's not a whole lot of like character continuity, but the ideas are similar. I also liked that because of this like conceit, this premise, the house itself is changed. There are new sets within the house because they have
clean.
They've
painted.
They've redone the house because it's not a haunted house anymore. It's this like whole theatrical experience. So it's tidied up. It's been repainted.
I felt so scandalized.
New sets have been. I know, but like I liked that because it was like really we're gonna see this same dining room again. You know, I liked that they didn't, fully remodel the house because there's no budget for that for the crew. I mean, I don't mean for the movie. And so they don't remodel the house. So the rooms are still there. But it looks different. It feels different. You're looking for different scary things, like that little heaven walkway where it's all white and you've got all those creepy white hooded figures. That shit was scary and interesting.
And I think it's another effective, ballsy, creative challenge of here, we're going to have much less grainy, less forgiving cameras.
Yeah.
And we're not going to rely on the place being dirty and grungy.
Right.
So it's cleaner and you can see it more clearly, but we're still going to scare the shit out of you.
And somehow they maintained the tension of you looking in the corner and seeing what kind of shit pops up. Like that was all really effective.
It's two things. It's ambition and confidence. And growing those things together, I think, is why this franchise means so much to me.
Yeah.
I have some notes on this.
Okay.
So this is another iteration in the Hell House formula. You have the television framing device of 2 with much better actors. I think that was one way that this film grows over its predecessor.
Yeah, all the actors were great in this.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
I also loved furthering that documentary crew conceit when you literally hand out cameras to different parts of the cast and crew. I thought that was fantastic.
That was great.
In the same way you loved the vignette sequences in 2 with the live streamers, I thought this gave us some of those one-off kills and scares by handing out the cameras.
The one of the girl going to the basement to kiss the clown as a dare.
Man,
that
awesome.
Shit was scary.
Yes.
I hated it. I mean, like in a good way. It really, really upset me. I did not like that.
And again, you have some returning characters from 1 and 2. You've got some dead people that we see flashes of again. But I was so impressed with the restraint of this film. I just talked about confidence and ambition, but there's a restraint here too. The returning characters, the way you kind of dole those out and sprinkle them across the movie, it felt comprehensive. We got glimpses of everyone we kind of needed to pull this whole thing together, but it was also incredibly restrained. In the same way, when the characters from 1 come back in 2, they're not as active. They're not alive. They're not really parts of the narrative.
Right.
They're just set dressing to hurt you, to remind you, to cause you pain, to deepen the lore. I loved the demotion we gave to Andrew Tully here.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't this franchise villain, mustache twirling and monologuing. That wouldn't have worked for this franchise.
I was going to say, I was so nervous that they were going to turn him into like a Jigsaw thing where he's always there and always gives a monologue at the end. He would have gotten old. Like it wouldn't have been as effective. I was so glad that they showed so much restraint with him.
To the point where he's not in either of the following movies.
No,
he's not
mentioned
in 4 or 5.
Yeah, like
we see a sign with his name on it in 5, and it's chilling.
Right, you're like, oh, that guy. Because if you see him too much, he becomes less effective.
And that's what we were just talking about with not showing too much of the hell stuff. That works doubly for Satan.
Right,
You can't show it.
And exactly. And Well, sorry, I'm going to talk about continuity.
No, just a sidebar to kind of hit this point harder.
Uh-huh.
We've been doing a Dune episode slowly. Sorry, that's my fault. But we've been talking about all of the Dune books. I've been reading and loving those. And the God Emperor character in 4, who is a tyrant for thousands of years across this world, and he's unbelievably scary and engrossing and overwhelming. I guess spoilers, time passes and he dies. But in the 5th one, there's one, Heretics of Dune. There's one, I mean, the timeline's like tens of thousands of years.
Okay.
So the cast refreshes.
Yeah, sure.
But if you remember from the Heretics of Dune discussion, there's one moment where someone's in a crypt and they find a message from the God Emperor. And it's in his voice that you got to know so well in the 4th book, and it's in all caps. And it genuinely freaked me out. It's the only time in my 31 years of life that a book has scared me.
That's amazing.
So it's about restraint.
Yes.
And I love how restrained they were with the use of Andrew Tully here.
Yes, me too. I really appreciate that. And I think to talk about continuity, I was saying, there's not really a continuing character. Well, there kind of is in a backwards way, because Russell is, of course, the owner of Insomnia, this big time millionaire guy. Turns out he's an angel. And he has been involved in movies 1, 2, and 3. So without us knowing, he's our, continuity character.
Yes,
he's carried us through movies. It's and so you get that connective tissue at the end. It does feel a teeny bit retconned, but I'm also fine with that. That's kind of how this movie is. There are twists and things that have been happening the whole time that we don't know about. So I'm fine with that.
But he was just kind of watching. He wasn't involved.
Orchestrating.
Right.
He wasn't puppeteering. It was more just, he's been there, and this has been part of a larger thing. And I was
fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't feel cheap to
I
me.
liked that reveal of him, showing him, in the restaurant where Alex and Mac are talking and all that.
Yes.
I thought all that was great. I
also,
liked it.
the Saw thing of, you thought Amanda was the first apprentice? We're going to go back 3 days further in the timeline, and Hoffman was the first apprentice. And we're going to go back a little further, and Carrie Elvis was the first. There's a level of bullshit to that. That sort of retcon.
Which is what makes those movies so fun, but it's a different kind of thing. Yeah.
But they didn't do that here.
No.
I think they neatly kind of avoided that sort of pulpy melodrama, which I love, but that is not what this is.
Yeah, these movies are never pulpy. They're very serious. It's a silly idea, but it's actually very intense.
And this one in particular, I think, feels intense because, I know we have 2 more of these movies, but you can very easily view this as the end of the franchise.
This totally could have been the end. Yeah, I would have been happy with that.
The rest of it's just kind of gravy and, exercises. Because here we're tying off so many loose ends while, as you hinted at, tripling down on the Faust thing with the Insomnia conceit.
Yeah.
And it's so on the nose. It's not just them performing Marlowe's Faustus in the middle of this haunted hotel. It's them performing a modernized version of Faust within this motel.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's in the same way we're restaging elements of the first and second movies. We're restaging the Faust thing that we saw kind of a ramshackle production of in the basement at the end of 2.
And I also think that the idea of it being we're following this crew who's doing this production, and having Russell be kind of this difficult, leader, and his sort of right-hand man being frustrated with him, and that complicated relationship that mirrors what you see in the first Hell House with Alex and his friends. So I liked that, but it wasn't ever Russell is our new Alex. It never felt like that. They felt like their own people, their own characters, but we still got a lot of the same nuggets that we liked from the first movie, refreshed and rinsed and recycled in this one. I liked that.
It feels like the core pillars of the Faust thing. We've kind of devoted one movie to each of them. So the first movie was very much about a Faustus, Alex. He's our Faustus.
Yeah.
I know he's not in the other ones, but I feel his presence through the whole franchise.
Of course you do.
He was our first Faustus. The second movie, the big innovation there is giving us a Mephistopheles. It's giving us Andrew Tully in the basement. The third movie kind of restages both of those things. We get a little more of both of those people. But the big innovation here is an angel. It's an answer to all of that evil.
Yes, I liked that.
We get, in the same way we get a priest later on, we get a little bit of a priest here, but sort of. He's not as priesty as the one
as
in
the
Lineage.
other priest, yeah.
And we get a little bit of Satan in all of them with the scary stuff, and I think 4 is about that with the clown stuff and Patrick Carmichael. But I love that we got an angel here.
Yeah, me too. Especially when you've got heaven imagery in in the play that they're putting on. Like, I thought there was a fun, like there's in movies 1 and 2, you get a lot of hell, you get a lot of demons, you get a lot of shit, like it's all scary and bad. And there's like biblical stuff, especially mentioned at the end of 2 with Tully. But then adding in the heaven element here is sort of like, I don't know, you kind of get your Inferno and your Purgatorio, and now you've got your Paradiso.
Absolutely.
Like, I kind of like that. I thought
Yes.
that was really, really cool.
They're all of a piece. When you talk about Faust, you have to talk about Paradise Lost. You have to talk about Dante.
Right.
Absolutely. And just to dive into this a little further, what does it mean to have an angel character in a horror movie? I think it is hope. It is grace. It is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's all of these things that are so absent from these kind of grisly, especially found footage horror movies. We talked about Poughkeepsie tapes a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
No hope in that
Nothing
movie.
hopeful about that thing. Yeah.
But this one, I loved that it tripled down on the Faust thing while hitting it from a new angle yet again. Without, we were avoiding the repetition of the twists. There wasn't this person was dead the whole time. It's that this person was alive and helping us the whole time.
And now many of us can not survive being dead going forward. Yeah.
There was such a different tone here, to the point that it reminded me of some of the more achingly human and hopeful horror movies that you and I have connected with so much. I'm thinking about Insidious and The Haunting of Hill House.
Not Hell House, Hill House. Yeah.
Specifically with the idea of the further in Insidious.
Yeah.
And the kind of other side of the mirror in Hill House, where we're going into the netherworld, and instead of just showing scary thing hiding in the corner, we're showing that all of these scary dead bodies, they're all sad people who are sad that they died, and they're kind of stuck in this in between.
Yes, and it's horrifying because they're dead, but they don't want to hurt you, but maybe they have to because they're trapped in a purgatory thing. And I liked that. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing that Hill House does, is ghosts are just sad dead people.
And that's what this was. And I think the rest of the films, the reason I really could argue that this franchise ends with this movie is because I think 3, 4, and 5 are all hitting the same point of the scary thing is a sad thing. It is grounded. It isn't just, scary devil in the corner. In the same way, 5 recreates the clown at the bottom of the stairs in 4 as being Vanessa.
Yeah.
There's so much interest in 3, 4, and 5 in explaining the scary shit you saw before and showing the aching, dying, grieving, guilty humanity that's trapped in a purgatory beneath that. And that's why I think this movie is basically resolving the series. It's turning into a complete trilogy with relentless love and terror. We're leaning even harder into the Saw thing. It's glorious and dense. But I just thought it brought things to such a resolution. The final shot of this movie, when you see the original Hell House crew alive but dead again.
Right, in this like netherworld,
When they've passed, sorry, my throat, when they've passed to the other side.
Yeah.
And you see them realize that they're dead.
It's so sad. I mean, this whole thing makes the first 2 movies feel all the more sad. Like, they're obviously sad, but they're scary more than anything. They're exciting and, spooky, creepy. But this movie makes the whole thing feel human and just more tragic. And I really liked that.
There was a moment, at the end of a sitcom, like if you've seen the last episode of Friends,
right,
where they kind of look around and they turn off the lights.
Look at the apartment one more time. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can be cynical about that, or you can take it sincerely.
Yeah, sure.
And I think there is like a warmth and a loss to that. There's a sense of love. There's a wistfulness. There's a yearning. I felt that here.
Yeah.
When Sarah and Alex hug and he breaks down, I mean, that felt like the perfect note to end this franchise on.
Right. And it is, of course, the last time we see the house because it burns down.
Yes.
And it's only still there in this purgatory that they're in.
And it only makes the scary shit better. Like, there's a compounding effect on the horror. It doesn't undercut it. It deepens it.
Yes.
And seeing that whole crew together again at the end, I found that so melancholy and resonant, and that really affected me.
Me too.
As an end to this central sequence of this story.
Definitely.
I thought it was just profound.
Yeah.
But also, not to miss the forest for the trees here, the clowns, the basement, the cult, still horrifying.
Still fucking scary. Yeah.
Again, we didn't lose any of the scary factor
No,
in this third iteration.
Agreed. Still very effective.
Let's move to the fourth one.
And here's the thing. We're talking about how 3 is a wonderful ending to a trilogy and it's great.
Yes.
4 was very, very good. It's a different kind of thing, but it was excellent.
Very different. And very much the bridge between the look and feel and setting of the original trilogy and the apparent departure of Lineage.
Right.
4 is what makes that make
bridge.
sense.
Yes.
Even better quality cameras. Even more clean and modern. It totally
in this beautiful, austere manner rather than it being this shitty broken down house. Yeah.
Also,
hotel.
those kind of shitty suits of armor. I had one of those.
I know
in
you
my
did.
childhood bedroom.
I know you did.
A little weird now, but fun to see them again.
Yeah, sure.
So a couple notes here about Carmichael Manor. Origins, Carmichael Space Manor.
Carmichael Spice, is that the sixth Spice Girl? Or no, the fourth?
Yeah,
how many
she
are
was
there?
dead the whole time.
Are there 3 or 5?
I don't know.
There are 3. I don't fucking
know anything.
know. Okay.
One of them's a ghost.
Tell us.
Or one of them's a clown. I don't know.
Both.
If any of them are dead, I'm going to feel bad. I know nothing about the Spice Girls.
I'm going to confidently say...
If one of them's dead, blame Maggie. It's her fault.
I don't think any of them are dead.
Because she was mean about the Gustave Doré thing. Remember that when you were snooty?
That was your fault for being wrong.
Hell House 4.
Yeah.
Origins, Carmichael Manor.
Yeah.
Is very interesting in that it is both a prequel and an epilogue.
Yes.
If we're saying 3 is kind of the end of the road here, 4 is exploring what else is left on the board. We're going
on the perimeters. We're expanding
perimeters.
Out.
That's
yes.
beautiful.
Uh-huh.
It's also kind of an incomplete start to a new saga.
Right.
But do you remember when It Chapter 2 came out and everyone was like, oh, fuck, that wasn't the first one?
Oh.
And we just did an episode on both It movies a couple weeks ago. That wasn't meant to be a plug, but we did. And the second one's way better than you remember it being.
Sure.
But do you remember after that one came out, people said, well, just do a third one and show me how Pennywise came to be.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they never did. And now they're doing Welcome to Derry, which is kind of that, but it's kind of another thing too.
Mm-hmm.
This is an origin story for the clown.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is done so fantastically well while being maybe the best, most tightly focused scare factor in a freaky house of any of these sequels, because it's like 3 people.
Yeah, that's what's really getting me, is that this movie is simultaneously totally unnecessary and yet adds so much and is done so well when it does not need to be. You know what I mean? Like, because getting the like prequel backstory of how the clowns even got there and where they came from, and let's introduce this whole new place called Carmichael Manor, which you've barely heard of. I think they say the name Carmichael very, very briefly in like the second or third movie as like an offhand thing, right? They didn't need to do this movie. And like
I'm so glad they did.
So many other franchises would have done this movie so poorly, and instead this is way better than it needs to be, and I really liked it. I thought this was a really good entry in that you're getting an understanding of who these clowns are and how they came to be. You understand the ongoing lore about the cult and Andrew Tully and what this whole thing is, and also you're getting to experience the horrifying nature of these clowns in a totally new setting that you don't know, that you're not familiar with. You don't know to look out for the scary basement. Instead, you're like in these beautiful rooms, this like kind of Victorian style, like beautiful manor. And then like the scariest shit in the world happens, and it's awesome. I thought this was great.
And it's not just an origin story for the clown showing who he is. It does more than identify him as Patrick Carmichael, because again, this is taking place after the trilogy. We're resurrecting the clown.
Yes.
And we're resurrecting the cult, who we thought probably would have been killed in the Russell sacrifice.
And you're like,
3.
how the fuck did these clowns get into the manor? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when you see the cult in the distance, when
in the woods,
when Rebecca and Margot are trying to escape in the car and they're in the woods, that's to me the scariest the cult has ever been.
Yeah, that shit's freaky.
Again, unbelievable that they're the scariest they've ever been in the 4th entry.
And it's, by the way, side note, impressive to like really, really remind us of Blair Witch by being in the woods with a camera running away from scary shit. Like, that's a bold move, because if you're doing found footage every single time, someone's going to compare you to Blair Witch. And for the most part, this series has not felt like Blair Witch at all. It's a totally different thing. But here we're the closest we've ever been, and it continues to be fantastic.
With more unforgiving high definition cameras.
Yeah, even nicer cameras. Yeah, that's true.
And it did a great job with that. I really liked the connections that you just talked about between the Carmichaels and the Abaddon lore. I thought that all felt natural and relevant. And I really like this movie as an exploration of the aftermath
Yes.
of the previous trilogy, where that we've burned down the hotel. Finding the remains in the antique shop felt so natural. I mean, there was a bit of Conjuring in there. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a little like, coincidental, but that's the point, is that this stuff, like, they're being drawn to this stuff. They want to be found. Like, I thought it worked really well. I loved that.
And I didn't think this aftermath undercut the conclusion, the kind of perfection of the end of 3.
Agreed.
Or Russell's sacrifice at the end of 3.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this made sense.
Yeah, of course the cult would continue. Even if the gate to hell has been closed, like, that doesn't mean the cult is gone.
It doesn't mean demons or the Faustus thing it doesn't go away.
Yeah, it's just like they can't get in through the hotel anymore. So they're going to do something else.
There's always another victim. There's always another soul to
Evil's
get.
always there. Yeah.
And I mean, they say that basically to camera a million times in this franchise, and people then go watch Lineage and forget that part.
Yeah.
But I really loved this one had a smaller cast. We can't miss that. The fact that this was basically 3 characters.
3 people, yeah. Usually there's like 5 or 10 or, and this is 3.
Scary as hell. And the connections were so good here. Every time you turned away and then saw the dead, fucked up body in the bed that they were sleeping in.
Oh my God.
Unbelievably effective. Also, I feel like we see these 3 deaths, kills in more detail than we do most of the other characters.
Most of the time, they're pretty off screen. Yeah.
The brother? What
happened to the brother?
With the eyes?
Remember. Oh, with the eyes. Ugh. Yeah, I hated that.
and then when you see Margot come back in 5, because we don't really see her death as much here.
But it's sort of revealed to us later.
And when Rebecca's head tilts back in 5, how can you think that's a bad movie? I'm getting ahead of myself.
For sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The movie's scary as hell, and there are certain sequences that feel so modern. You can talk about Blair Witch, you can talk about the earlier Hell House movies, but the Zoom call?
I was going to say, that's the best sequence in the movie, is the Zoom call. If you haven't seen it, she's on Rebecca's on a Zoom call with her boss, and she's showing her pictures of a listing. She works in real estate, it seems like, and she's like, oh, let me show you this listing I found. And she's like sitting in her room, and she's going through and showing her photos of the house. But instead, the photos that she's going through, she's like screen sharing, are not of the house, but they're interiors of Carmichael Manor, where she is. And as she goes through the photos are going farther and farther up the stairs. And then it's like behind her, looking at her in the room on the Zoom call. And it gets closer and closer to her. And then it shows there's a scary dead girl next to her in the photo, but she can't see her. And it's the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen.
The sister with the mask leaning around the corner.
Ooh, hated it. Yeah.
It's excellent. And again,
scary.
Especially with the way the color grading worked in this movie and being in this ornate but kind of cobwebby manner, I thought we leaned into more of Hill House territory.
Yes. It was very Hill House. Like there's Lineage there.
But it stands up in the same way you kind of, the Matador waving the flag for Blair Witch. Those comparisons they don't work against the film.
No, not at all.
I think they stand up to those comps.
Yes, definitely.
The last thing here, I have a fun little time capsule here.
Oh, cool.
I wrote some notes before we saw 5. Okay. After we saw 4, of me kind of wondering where this franchise could go and what I wanted next.
Yes.
And I'm just going to read the notes here.
Okay.
Next one, period piece. More of the clowns and Tully. Do we get to see the cult offing themselves? Do we get to see a full circle origin to wrap this up? Or do we somehow get more of this cast dead or in the underworld like we saw the Hell House cast at the end of 3?
Oh, yeah.
Do we see them in the Upside Down? And then the question at the end of the notes was, does this story that we've now started with the 4th film need its own saga? Do we need to fully destroy the cult and see the final death of the clowns and fully end this threat forever? And I didn't answer that question. That's what I was left with after 4.
Interesting.
So this is our transition into talking about 5. So this is Lineage. We discussed this in a different context on an episode earlier this week, but I want to talk about this as a sequel and what it does with the Faust thing instead.
Okay, sounds good.
I got to start with this movie being scary as shit. We talked about seeing this in a theater. The sound mix for being in a theater was so effective. It's
so funny because like I've seen so many horror movies and I'm pretty easily scared by jump scares. Like I just jump. But like for the most part, when I see a scary movie now, I'm pretty able to like separate myself and go, I'm just watching a movie. Like this, I'm appreciating how scary this is. I'm appreciating, the tactics they're using to make me scared, but I can separate myself enough to not be completely freaked out and just appreciate this as a movie. Watching this movie felt like the first time I watched a horror movie, when I'm like, absolutely don't even want to look at the screen. I'm so afraid. And that's how this movie made me feel. Even though, and I was pretty scared in movies 1 through 4 too, especially the first one, but the others as well. But like, I don't know. I think it was the sound design and being in a theater, because there were so many like loud bangs, musical cues, but it never felt cheap. It never felt like it was overcompensating, because the thing itself, the fucking clowns, are so scary, and also you're so invested in the characters, and so you're afraid for them, which heightens the whole thing. And I wasn't used to this. The movie is not found footage, and we discussed at length that decision and how that changes the movie in our episode on it. But I think that also might have been, I wasn't used to that with this story. And so that was a new thing for me. And so I felt a bit more immersed and a bit more terrified. Like, I was so afraid this whole movie.
Me too. And I think there's a wild difference in tone here. So we were talking about the end of 3 being affecting and meaningful and human and sad. And that hug is, it's unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
4 was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
In the way we killed off these 3 hopeful young people. One of them's trying to get over an addiction thing. The other 2 are this kind of fledgling couple who has the whole world in front of them. And that ends pretty brutally. This movie has the hardest edge. This has the darkest, most brutal feeling of the entire franchise for me.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of that has to do with that comparison to the end of 3, where you bring back the sad, dead kids from the first movie and you give them kindness and humanity. You let them kind of process their own deaths on screen, and it's incredibly powerful. Here, the way we bring back Margot and Rebecca is the most twisting the knife thing this franchise has ever done.
Right.
When you see Rebecca's head fall back and she's just a prop, but mostly what we do with Margot, where you see the priest call out, this isn't, we shouldn't be sympathetic to this thing. This is not the sad, lingering soul of a dearly departed. It's not that.
It's trying to scare you.
And then she starts laughing. And you realize that this is just a shell that's performing. And now it's puppeteering this person we felt bad for.
Yes.
She's not there at all. That is such a brutal twist for a franchise that has stopped dead to humanize people after they're dead so far. This is such a cruel, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
This is such a cruel twist here. And this is why I was not thrown by the ending here, because after that Margot scene, I was not expecting a happy ending.
Well, sure. Yeah, and it was also effective to not only like see them again as their dead selves, but also for Vanessa, our main character, to watch earlier scenes from the fourth movie, like of them talking about how are they going to leave, them waiting for the brother. Like you get to rewatch the scenes, but from this like different perspective where it's not found footage anymore. It's Vanessa watching like from not afar, but next to them, adjacent to them. And so you see the scenes play out again, but with new understanding of what happens to them, with new context, and knowing they're going to try to get in the car and they're not going to be able to. And then of course with the Mitchell reveal, you learn why the car can't drive away. Like it's so much sadder to watch their reactions play out, because the scene that I'm thinking of especially is when the brother's gone missing. They don't know where he is, and Margot wants to stay and wait for him, and Rebecca wants to leave because she's terrified. And you're like, if only they had left then, like maybe it would have been okay. But of course they don't, because they're waiting for the brother. And it's so sad to see it play out, and you can hear how afraid they both are and how nervous they both are. Like it was really devastating.
And in the same way, if we're looking at this as more of it's hard because it's a sequel to 3 because it's about Vanessa, and it's a sequel to 1 and 2 because we're pulling in Mitchell. But it's also, I think, primarily a sequel to 4.
Yes.
But you've killed off all 3 characters from 4. And I think in the same way 2, which is a direct sequel to 1, repeats elements from 1, like a character being dead the whole time, and really twists the knife with all the 3 characters on the panel and how they handle those and evolve those characters and hurt you with those characters. I love what this one brings back from 4. If we're looking at that the way 2 complements 1, the way 5 complements 4.
Yes.
I love what 5 brings back from 4. We just talked about what they did with Margot and Rebecca. Brutal. Bringing back the groundskeeper, for that knife twist confirmation. You knew that guy was evil. The first second you saw him, you knew he was fucking
you never
evil.
trust the groundskeeper. What are they up to? What are they doing? Yeah.
But it's so mean-spirited the way they do it. It's so effective the way they do it. And the other thing that they bring back and kind of restage, which should be diminishing returns, which should suck, they do the Zoom call again.
Yes.
And it's great.
I know. And somehow it's still great. I know. That's so true. Yeah. Yeah. It felt like it was just, again, an expansion. Let's continue to explore and evolve and dive deeper into everything going on here and make everything, like, twist the knife further, make everything feel sadder and more terrifying and more tragic. It's a great entry.
If this franchise was going to have a happy ending, it would have ended with 3.
Right.
The second you see the clowns and the cult again in 4, you have to say, okay, we're either building to an Avengers Endgame finale where the whole team of survivors get together and they throw Pennywise down the well. We're either going to do that, or we're going to show cycles of violence and temptation and human failing and all that forever and do the Faust thing. This does the Faust thing. I think this movie's necessary after 4 to explain how the cult and the clowns survived the Russell sacrifice.
Yes.
I think that was the huge dangling plot thread, and I don't mean plot hole, I mean plot thread.
Yeah.
Unresolved storyline that we needed this film to resolve from 4.
Totally.
But it does it in such a fancy, smart, and I mean fancy in like a good way, the way that the plot is orchestrated. Again, the architecting that Stephen Cognetti does here. I loved the almost slasher structure to this film. All of these films, sporadically, someone from the main cast dies. But that's not really what slasher means.
Sure.
Slasher means like once every 10 minutes, someone disappears from the group.
Yes, one by one. Yeah.
And I loved how silent this was, because almost the entire supporting cast is hunted down and killed. But because it's not found footage, it doesn't have to be suggestive. We could have pulled out the camera almost objectively and seen these people ripped apart by the clown.
Right.
But that's not what's scary about the clowns. And I love that this movie didn't show the deaths, really.
Yes.
You basically see the clown touch someone, and then we cut to black.
Right, yeah. I was saying the other day, like when we were thinking about these, was I believe in 4, as good as 4 was, the clowns move a little bit too much in 4. They become less mythical and hard to understand, and they start to just become people in creepy costumes. In 5, they pull back and the clowns move less. And like they still move and they're still like, but it's like you don't see the movement. Like in the opening scene when the guy is in the trailer or the that little thing at the fair and the clown is at the end and you see the hand like flop off the lap. You see him kind of gesture a little bit, but then it cuts to black and he's in a different position. Like that's fucking scary compared to like watching the clown walk towards you, which is also horrifying. But they show a little bit more restraint in this 5th one, which again feels counter to how many horror franchises go, where they start to become more and more let loose and anything goes and let's try this. And this is like, let's hold back. Like as if they're sort of learning or like adapting or continuing to refine, and I really liked that.
On one hand, I totally agree. I if it were up to me, you'd never see anything more than a head pivot, or you look back and they're standing up when they used to be sitting down.
Right, sure.
But if we're looking at these as aftermath films after the just total game-changing pivot at the end of Hell House 3, where you see the Hell House crew alive again, or you know what I mean. You see them in this
alive but not
stuck in the underworld in Hell House for the first time, realizing that they're dead. And then 3, 4, and 5 all have varying degrees of interest in showing who was the clown. Seeing that Vanessa in this movie was the clown at the bottom of the stairs in 4. I think it makes sense if you see the clowns moving more like people, if we're increasingly showing that they are people.
Well, that's true. And we're demythologizing them. Like you're understanding, oh, Patrick is the clown.
Right.
So like he's a real person.
So yes, I think humanizing and demystifying the clown that way is important, but I agree. For my own aesthetic preference, I prefer when they don't move
for
at all.
scare tactics.
I like the mannequin. I mean, the first movie was made with $25,000 in a dream, and it's one of the best horror movies ever made. So,
incredible.
Yeah, I like the incredibly low-tech DIY. I think it's unbelievably effective in this franchise.
Can we talk about The Exorcism? Is this a good time
That's
to talk
exactly
about?
where I was going.
That's so weird.
Can I do my thing and then you compliment
please,
it? Okay.
please. Yeah.
I'm so glad. It's nice.
Because we haven't talked about it. We didn't even talk about it in our episode on this movie. Like, because it's a whole different thing. Let's talk about The Exorcism.
So you just have to do this 552 times and then you're on exactly the same page.
Wow, incredible.
So yeah, we get a new angle here on the Faust. I was going to write subtext, but I crossed out the sub in my notes.
It's just
text.
It is the text. Yes.
New angle here. And I'm glad you've been talking about the the horror movies that have been evoked in the later sequels of this franchise, where you get a little Blair Witch, you get a little Hill House, you get a little this, a little of that. Now, I think we get some Exorcist.
We're going full Exorcist here.
Which is the most scary thing to compare yourself within the genre.
Can you imagine being like, yeah, I'm going to evoke the Exorcist here? Like, that's terrifying. Yeah.
And we're talking about the confidence and skill of this franchise. That's a ballsy thing to do. And I think, again, they do it well. Because this is not about the Exorcist. It's about Faust. And I think the film basically screams that into your face, where they attempt the exorcism on the house. And they fail. More than anyone else in this franchise has failed at doing anything.
But it's not like they're bad at it. They do so much work to help you set up that this priest is competent, knows what he's doing, has probably done something like this before, and like is able to sort of not best or defeat, but move past and carry on in spite of the other scares and demons and things that they come upon in the house. He's like, no, he like keeps giving advice to Alicia, like, that's trying to trick you. Don't look at it. Let's leave this room. This is not the best place to do the exorcism. Like, he goes through the whole house methodically and carefully and demonstrates that he is good at this and is competent. And so then when he fails, it's all the more scary versus if they had just gone straight to the living room and he had like sucked ass the whole time. Like, he's very good, and it's terrifying that it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, we pivot towards the Exorcist of, oh, well, there's an evil that we just can't seem to get rid of. So 5 movies in, we're going to go to the professionals, and they're going to come and get rid of the house. And I think that is a way to engage with and factor in audience expectation and desire. I was going to
say, because 5 movies in, everyone's probably wondering, like, why the fuck haven't they just exorcised this house? Like, bring in a priest and get rid of the demons. Like, why haven't we tried that yet? So, of course, they try it.
And what happens in the final movie? You get rid of the big bad. Because you don't need to make more of them. You don't need them anymore. So you wrap it up in a bow and send everyone home with their popcorn.
Right, yeah.
We start with the Exorcist thing. We find a priest. He's reluctant. He's sad. We get him there. He comes through. He shows up in his stupid pickup. The pickup didn't really... I don't know. That guy didn't seem like a pickup sort of guy.
No, I liked it. It was kind of like small town. Like, he's like tough. I liked it. He wasn't like this sad little priest. Like, he was a tough guy. I liked it.
Yeah, all right.
I thought it worked.
We'll devote another episode to that.
I mean, I hate pickup trucks, but I thought it worked for the characters, so it's fine.
But it doesn't conclude that Exorcist thing. That's not what this movie is.
No.
We pivot almost immediately back to Marlowe when they fail. Because yes, both of the priests in The Exorcist die. It's not about that. They are successful. They do get the demon out of the girl, and then she goes on to live a life if you don't read sequels. But that movie ends on a hopeful, successful message.
Yes.
Right? They win even though they die. It's a heroic sacrifice.
Yes. Good has triumphed over evil. There have been great costs, but good has won. Yeah.
Good does not win here.
No, it doesn't.
Maybe if you make another movie, the Vanessa Mitchell Avengers movie.
Maybe something will happen.
But that's not where this goes. We pivot immediately back to Marlowe, where these people are... the priest with the neck. That's a rough death.
That's
a mean
That
death.
was mean. And it feels, a little pointed, right? If you think about, I don't know the terminology, the little white thing that the priest wears, like, that feels like a targeted way to kill him. You know, not only like targeting him where the like sign of his priesthood lives, which we even see him really talk about and establish when Alicia first meets him. She's like, "Are you a priest?" And he's like, "Yeah." Do you want me to put it on? Like, he holds it up. But also, they're destroying the weapon that he's trying to use, his voice in performing the exorcism. I thought it was brilliant. And not only was it like grisly and cool, it was symbolically significant.
You're shutting it down.
Yeah.
You're exploring that ending and showing that it doesn't work here. We're staging that road not taken.
Yeah.
And then we have to find another dirt road to run down.
Yeah.
So it's not the Exorcist ending. This is not a hopeful, successful ending.
No.
Instead, we pivot straight back to Marlowe and do the ending of Dr. Faustus, where a guy tries to repent to God after he sold his soul to the devil, and it doesn't work.
And he's dragged down to hell.
And that's basically how this ends.
Yeah.
For the Exorcist, and I forget the lady's name.
Alicia.
Who's with him. Alicia, thank you.
The news lady. Yeah.
They basically get dragged down to hell. Yeah, they get teased and tormented and used, and we assume they'll be puppets just like Margot.
Presumably they'll be at that manor forever now. Yeah.
Yes, with Margot, with Rebecca, with the brother whose name I forgot.
They'll be trapped in a new kind of hell house, you might say.
So I think by the time you see the exorcism of the house not work, you shouldn't be expecting Vanessa's storyline to succeed.
Well, that's so true. Yeah.
I feel like the final twist happens before the ending of the movie. And I love the tonal brutality of that after the flash of hope at the end of 3. Because the ending of 3 is the ending of The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It's
heroic sacrifice
by an angelic coded figure,
Sure.
which gives these innocent people a new life. So Vanessa would be Reagan.
I see. Yeah. Young woman. Yeah, sure.
But it doesn't work here.
But it doesn't work. Yeah. And I also liked this exorcism scene. I mean, the whole scene of the priest and Alicia exploring the house and then doing the exorcism is intercut with what's going on with Vanessa, where she is talking to Max. And like, it's both of them trying, like both like pairs of people, both different like scenes, are somebody trying to solve a problem, trying to find answers, trying to fix the thing, and it's them failing. Like with Vanessa and Max, it's Max deciding that he doesn't want to carry on and he ends his life, and it's Vanessa sort of spiraling out and falling into these dream sequences and not knowing what to do. And then you get the mental reveal, but it still doesn't really answer the thing, and it still makes you wonder if it's going to end poorly. And then of course it all goes very wrong with the priest and Alicia. So you see them happening back and forth simultaneously of you're hopeful at first as the audience, and then things get worse and worse. You're like, oh, fuck, it's not going to work.
The ending of Faustus is a 1-2 punch. So it starts with him trying to repent and losing, and then getting dragged down to hell. That's the first bad ending. And then, we've talked about this 100 times, but the second ending is that epilogue from the chorus, where they basically twist the knife, rub it in, say, haha, loser, he shouldn't have tried more than heavenly power permits. I think that's what's happening here at the end. There's one way that you could read the Vanessa Mitchell thing of, hey, this guy who we thought was the hopeful kind of hero who sacrificed himself at the end of 2, nope.
He actually gave himself to the cult.
Became part of the cult and is probably the reason this is continuing. But the end of Faustus is Mephistopheles wins, Faustus loses, and this will happen again and again and again and again and again.
Yes.
Because you can't fully defeat the idea of evil.
It's always going to be there. Yeah.
So I don't think this franchise has ended with the unsatisfying but eternal and resonant ending of Faustus. And yes, there's audience backlash to that in the same way the play is unsatisfying.
That's true. That's really interesting. I think that comparison to the ending helps me understand it all a little bit better.
If they make a new one, if they do a Lineage Part 2, and we have Vanessa and Mitchell in the Surviving Insomnia cast, and they go and Tully, and we see the mass suicide flashbacks,
sure,
I'll watch it. But this is the ending I think I was looking for.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Again, I think
could have been done a little better.
The presentation needed some work, which we talked about in another episode. But the point that they're doing, the thing that they're trying to accomplish, I get it.
And as a 5-film meditation on what I think is the most important story structure of all time. This could not be more for me.
Yeah.
And it gave me a fear of clowns.
Oh, well, you're welcome for that. Now you get to have that as part of your repertoire. Oh my God. Yeah. No, this series is great.
Special.
People who think that this series like falls apart after the first one are just factually incorrect, and you can't convince me otherwise. These are really fun to talk about. And now I never want to think about clowns ever again.
One guy writing and directing this whole thing.
Good for you, sir.
Unbelievable.
You made an incredible thing.
DIY indie filmmaking, bootstrapping with a couple of friends and a producer in a clown suit.
Hell yeah.
I mean, this is it, man. This is why we love horror. No other genre can do this.
That's what it's all about. Let us know what you think of each of these movies, of this series as a whole. Which is your favorite which is your favorite installment in the series? What else would you like to see from this story? Do you want to see more? Do you think it should end? What do you think about our Faust stuff? You know, the drill, etc., etc. Let us know what you think. If you're on YouTube, obviously comment down below. Otherwise, if you're listening on a podcast platform, just send us an email or a DM. We do love to hear from you. It's always very interesting, and we love to keep the conversation going. That's why we do this in the first place. We have a Patreon. Have we mentioned that in this episode? I don't know if we have. So. It's all blurring together. We recorded a bunch today. But check out our Patreon. It's $2 a month. You get 2 bonus episodes every month if you join the Patreon, plus, of course, access to all the other bonus episodes we've dropped over there. We have lots and lots and lots over there. We also, one of the things we have over there is our breakfast buffet series, where we do roundups, kind of like this, actually. This is really, we had talked about doing this one as a buffet, and then thought, no, let's put this out as a regular episode, because it's just, we want to share it with a larger audience. But if you like these sort of roundups, talking about a lot of things in one episode. The buffet series is perfect for that, and that's on the Patreon. Final plug, if you want to support us even more, check out Cam's latest book, Lemon Tarts in Space. Light sci-fi, dark comedy. It's about cancer and space and friendship and all sorts of things and drama. It's very funny and very dark all at the same time. You can read it as a regular book, or you can check it out as a fully produced audio drama. The audio drama is really excellent. I recommend that as the best way to experience it, but it's also, Cam also adapted it as a full novelized version, so you can check that out too. The links for that are in the description down below. Thank you very much for listening. We'll catch you here in just a few days with another brand new episode.